Hello and welcome to today's yoga class. We're going to begin today's practice lying on our back in Shavasana. So we'll do some breathing in our resting pose, and then we'll begin to move through our series for today. If this is uncomfortable on your lower back, you can bend your knees or roll a blanket and put it underneath your knees. I invite you to go ahead and close your eyes if you'd like. If you are comfortable doing so, you can begin to restrict your breath in and out your nostrils. I invite you to do some square breathing with me. We'll inhale to a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. And you can go ahead and breathe at a comfortable pace, attempting to keep restricting the breath in and out of your nose. You can slowly allow the eyes to open. We're going to do a couple side stretches in the banana asana. So if it feels all right in your shoulders, you can bring your arms up overhead. And then we'll take the right ankle and cross it over the left. And then take the right hand and put it on top of the left. You can hold on to your right hand with your left. You should feel a gentle stretch to your right side. If you don't, you can scoot your hips a little bit farther to the right to deepen that stretch a little bit. If it's uncomfortable in your shoulders, you can bend your arms or even put them alongside your side. We'll take a few deep breaths here. In my yoga practice, I try to leave space for silence. If silence bothers you, you are always welcome to put on some music in the background. Otherwise, you can use these times of silence. Focus on your breath, breathing slowly and deeply in and out through your nostrils. And then release the right leg and the right arm. And then we'll cross the left ankle over the right. And take the left hand in the right hand and feel a stretch through the left side. And then release the left leg and arm. You can bring your legs together. Bring your arms down alongside you. If you've got a strap of any kind, you can go ahead and grab that, whether it's a yoga strap, a bathrobe strap, a long towel would work, anything strap-like. And we'll set that off to the right of us. And then we're going to go ahead with the left leg straight. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. Pull that left heel away from you, but also keep the right hip from coming up. So you can hold on to your hip crease, your hip bone with your right thumb and kind of press that right hip down a little bit towards your left leg while continuing to pull that left heel away from your body. And take a couple breaths. Then with the left leg straight, or you can bend it and put your left foot flat on the ground. Take the strap, put it across the ball of your foot, and extend the foot straight up. Now if your leg doesn't get all the way straight, that's fine, it can be bent. The idea here is to try to keep your right heel over your right hip, so we're not pulling it in towards your nose. We're trying to get that foot perpendicular with the ground. If this is difficult to hold onto, you can wrap the strap around and get a better grip on it. So just like we were doing before, we're pulling the left heel away from the body while also pulling that right hip down. So if you want to, for a moment, hold on to the strap with your left hand, place the right hand on top of that right hip, and push that right hip down just a little bit towards your left foot so that right hip isn't coming up. Should be a nice release for your lower back. Take a couple more breaths. And take the strap in your left hand, or if you prefer, you can drop the strap and bend your leg. We're going to do a twist. So if you're doing the leg straight, you can do it with me. Otherwise, drop the strap, bend your leg, and let it fall to the left. So with your hands on the strap, we'll slowly bring the leg over to the left side of the body until it falls close to the floor. It might make it all the way down. It's okay if it doesn't. Try to press that right shoulder into the ground. I said that right foot might not be all the way on the ground. That's fine. I'm just going to hold for a couple breaths. And if this is too much, just drop the strap and bend the leg. Good. And bring it back up. And now you can bend the leg. Take the strap off. And straighten the right leg, and then we'll bring the left leg in to the chest. So again, we're feeling the right heel pulling away from the body, creating length in the spine and the lower back. And then you can take that left hip crease and see if you can bring that left hip just a little bit towards the right foot. Keep that left hip from rising up, and then take a couple breaths. And then you can put the strap over the left foot and straighten the left leg. Again, it may not get all the way towards straight. I mean, you may not even be able to get it perpendicular. It might be, over here, and that's fine. But the idea here is it's more about getting a lower back release than it is about the hamstring stretch, even though you probably, if you have tight hamstrings like I do, you probably still feel in your hamstrings. So take a moment, put the strap in the right hand, take the left thumb and put it on your hip or your hip crease and see if you can bring that left hip just a little bit closer to your right foot. And gently pulling down with your arms to the nice release on the lower back. Hold for a couple more breaths. Good. And either bring the strap into your right hand or release the strap and bend your left leg. And we'll bring the left leg slowly to the right of the body. Try to press that left shoulder into the ground. And we're just going to hold here for a couple of breaths. And then bring the leg back up, and release the strap. And you can move the strap off to the side. From here, we're going to roll over onto the stomach. So you just turn onto one side and keep going until you're on your stomach. And from here, we're going to come into Sphinx Pose. So our elbows are going to be underneath the shoulders, and then the hands are straight out in front. You can spread your fingers wide. And we're going to broaden through the collarbone, lift the chest. Try to keep your head in neutral spine. And then we're going to see if we can reach the tailbone toward your feet. Engage the lower abs just a little bit. We don't want to go too deep in the lower part of the back. We want to try to keep this back bend in the upper back, so we extend the chest forward, reach the tailbone toward the toes, and gently engage the lower abs. We'll hold for a couple more breaths. In a moment, we're going to move into Locust Pose. If Locust Pose feels like too much, you can come back into Sphinx Pose. So we'll go ahead and lower slowly, bringing your forehead to the mat. And then we'll bring the hands alongside the legs. And like I said, you can go into Sphinx Pose, or you can lift just the chest or just the feet. Let's start by peeling the forehead and the chest off the ground. Press all 10 of your toes into the floor, including your pinky toes. And then if you'd like, you can lift your feet and as much of your legs as you can off the mat and come into Locust Pose. Here still, we've got the lower belly engaged, tailbone pointing towards the feet. Really working the upper back muscles as much as possible. Bring your hands just a little bit closer together. See if you can lift maybe a half an inch. One more nice deep breath. And lower. Very good. All right, from here, we're going to move into downward facing dog, and I'm going to go through upward facing dog. If you prefer, you can just go through tabletop on your bent knees. So if you're going through tabletop, you come into tabletop, tuck your toes, and lift your hips up and back. But if you want to go through upward facing dog with me, instead of having the hands directly under the shoulders, we'll walk them back a few inches. We're going to straighten the arms. And as we do so, everything except for the hands and the tops of the feet will come up off the mat. So the shoulders are still moving down away from the ears. Lower belly is still engaged. Collarbone is broadened. Chest move forward. And from here, we'll slowly lift the hips up and back. Roll over the toes one at a time. And then bring the hips straight up and then straight back. So like you're reaching at a corner that's straight back behind you. Try to pull your hips both up and back at that diagonal as much as you can. And you can gently rock your hips from side to side, maybe lifting your left hip a little bit and then your right. Make sure your fingers are spread wide and gently pedal the feet, bending one leg and then the other. Good. And then work both legs towards straight. Heels are working toward the mat. Your legs might not be straight and your heels might not be on the mat. That's completely fine. We're just working them in that direction. And from here, we're going to do a few plank flows. So you always have the option to bring your knees down to the mat in the plank if you would like. So on an inhale, we'll bring the shoulders directly over the hands. And on the exhale, lift the hips up and back into downward dog. So inhale forward into plank. Exhale to downward facing dog. And move at a pace that's comfortable for your body and your breath. And bring an inhale as we come forward, and exhaling when we pull the hips up and back. And one more plank. We'll see if we can hold the plank for 3 breaths. Press into your hands. Broaden through the collarbone. And engage your thighs. Engage your lower belly. Breathe. And one more breath. And then allow your knees to come to the mat. And bring your knees mat width, bring your big toes together, and come back into child's pose. And walk your fingertips forward. And take a few slow breaths. You can always put a block underneath your chest or your forehead. You can roll up a blanket and put it underneath your knees. Good. We'll come back up into tabletop, and we're going to set up to do gate pose. So we're going to come up onto your knees. I'm going to turn to face you. And then we're going to take the right foot and put it extended straight out to the right. And then extend the arms like we do in Warrior Two, fingertips pulling away. So your lower belly is engaged. Chin is in slightly to lengthen through the crown of the head. Good. Then we're going to drop the right arm down to the right leg, lift the left arm up, and then bend to the right. Try to keep your chest turning toward the ceiling rather than turning toward your leg. One more deep breath. Good. And come back up. Take a breath here. I'm gonna adjust something on my screen real quick. And from here, we'll move into half circle pose. So for half circle pose, we'll drop the left hand onto the ground. If you'd like, you can put a block underneath your hand if it doesn't reach very easily. And then extend the arm straight up to start. Take a breath. And then like an extended side angle, we'll turn the palms down towards the floor and extend at a nice angle. And you can either stay here, or if you'd like, you can float that right foot up off the ground. And again, your arm can be reaching back behind you, or you can even bring it just straight up toward the ceiling. Either one. Take a couple breaths. And then slowly come back up. Good. You bring your hands to your hips. And then we'll switch sides. So we'll extend the left foot out. Straight. Reach your hands out so they're pulling away from each other. And then we'll start by dropping the left hand to the left leg, reaching the right arm up, and then bending to the left. A nice stretch through that right side. Again, we're turning the chest as if it's moving toward the ceiling rather than towards the leg. And breathe. Good. Come back up. Pull the fingertips away from each other, and then we'll drop the right hand down to your side. Again, you can put a block underneath you if you'd like. And we'll start by bringing the hand straight up. And then we'll turn the palm toward the ground, reach over to the right, and then if you'd like, you can lift that left leg, floating it up off the ground. And breathe. Good. Lower the leg, come back up, and we'll come back into downward facing dog. So we'll bring the knees together, turn, hands down, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, and then we'll walk the hands and feet together to come into a forward fold. Keep your toes heavy, heels light, and shake your head yes and no. And then engage your core, make it nice and strong, and slowly roll up to stand. Very good. All right, we're going to come into a chair twist from here. So you can stand with your feet either hip width apart, or you can bring your toes together and your heels about an inch or two apart, whichever's more comfortable for you. On an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up, we're going to sit back, make our heels nice and heavy, and bring the arms straight up. Now here, you should be able to see your toes. If you can't, the hips need to come a little bit farther back. You might need to stand up a little bit more. We're trying to make a nice long line between the hips and the fingertips. Keep your lower belly engaged, crown of the head pulling up towards your fingers. Good. And then go ahead and come up to stand. Bring your hands together at the chest. We're going to do that again, and this time we're going to add the twist. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up, sit back, heels heavy. Bring your hands to your chest, and from here we're going to hook the left elbow on the other side of the right knee. It might be a little bit easier now to walk those feet a little bit closer together. Press the hands together. Feel a nice stretch, twist in the upper back. Keep the heels heavy. One more breath. Come back to center and stand. We'll do it again on the other side. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up, sit back in your chair. Bring the hands to heart center. Now hook the right elbow on the other side of your left knee or your left thigh if you can work it up higher. And then press your hands together to get a nice twist in your upper back. The tendency might be to let the toes get heavy here. Try to keep the heels heavy. One more breath. Good. Back into chair and stand. Very nice. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stand with the feet nice and wide, toes pointing forward. We're gonna prepare to come in to Warrior Two. So we're gonna lengthen through the fingertips, lower belly engaged. Turn the right toes out, and then go ahead and bend the right leg. So your right heel should intersect your left arch. And then you can turn to gaze over your right fingertips. Now this right knee shouldn't be past the right ankle. And you're really pressing into both heels. And take a few breaths. Good. And straighten the right leg. You can bring your hands down. Right toes come forward, and we'll turn the left leg out. So now the left toes are facing the short side of the mat. Arms back out, and go ahead and bend the left leg. You can adjust your stance so that that left knee isn't going past the left ankle. And you can work that knee towards a 90-degree angle. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get there though. And then turn to gaze over your left fingertips. Keep that lower belly gently hugging in toward the spine. And make both heels nice and heavy. Shoulders relaxing, moving down away from the ears. And continue to breathe. Toes should not be gripping the mat here. Toes should be relaxed and light. Good. And straighten the left leg. And turn the toes forward. If you've got blocks now, you can grab them and put them behind both heels. If you don't, I'll show you how to modify without it. And actually, we're going to shorten the stance just a little bit. So my heel toe, one foot a little bit closer to the other. Good. And you can start with your blocks on the highest setting, and you can adjust as needed. So we'll keep the left toes pointing forward, and we'll externally rotate the right toes so they're facing the short side of the mat. This time we're going to keep the right leg straight. We're going to move into triangle pose. So pulling those fingertips away from each other, really engage the right thigh. And then like hinging at the hip rather than at the side. You're going to lean as far to the right as you can. Imagine that you're pulling your hips straight back to the left, keeping length through both sides of the body. And then you can drop your hand down to the block. Use your hands to really open your chest. And then if you'd like, you can gaze up toward the ceiling. Now, if you don't have blocks, you can gently rest your hand on the inside of your leg. That's another option. So keep that right thigh engaged, both heels heavy, chest moving toward the ceiling. And take a couple breaths in triangle pose. And you can bend the right leg and straighten to come out of it. Now the right toes point forward and the left toes turn out. So we're externally rotating at the left hip now, keeping both legs straight, really engaging this left thigh, hinge at the hips, and pull as far as you can to the left. Again, keeping both sides of your body nice and long and straight. And then drop your hand down to your block. If you'd like, you can use your hand to remind yourself to open your chest toward the ceiling as much as you can. With that left thigh engaged, press both heels into the ground. If you tend to hyperextend, you can have a micro bend in that left leg. And breathe. Good. Bend the left leg slightly. Come up, straighten to stand. And with both toes pointed forwards, you can move the blocks out of your way, or if you'd like to put them in front of you for our forward fold, you can do that. So hands on the hips, broaden through the chest, and then leading with the chest, you can begin to fold forward until you can place your hands on either the blocks or the ground. When you've gone as low as you can with the flat back, you can allow that upper back to round, neck to soften, shoulders to soften. Weight comes forward so that your heels are light again. And again, you can shake your head yes and no. Might feel good on your neck. If you're feeling really stable and you'd like to interlace your hands behind you to go a little bit deeper into the stretch, you're welcome to do so. And keep a little micro bend in the knees. And put your hands back on the ground. Come back into that flat back. Bend your knees slightly and come up to stand. Very good. From here, we're going to move into Goddess Pose. So we're going to bring the heels in and externally rotate the feet. Bend the knees. You can adjust so that your knees are over your ankles. And we're going to bring the hands to the heart center in prayer. So you've got two options for this Goddess Pose. You can walk your toes a little bit closer together and then come up on top of your toes. Bring them a little closer. Or you can keep your heels on the ground. Whichever option is better for you for today. If you're feeling wobbly, especially if you're on your toes, it's okay if you need to come back down for a moment, but also find a focal spot for your eyes. Good. And go ahead and lower your heels if they were raised, and come up to stand. Very good. And walk, heel toe your feet back together. Face the short side of your mat, and we're going to come into a toe squat. So slowly lower yourself toward the ground, catch yourself with your hands, and allow your heels to come up off the ground. And if you'd like, you can try to balance here with your hands in prayer, or you can bring the knees forward in a little bit more of a restful variation. So take a couple deep breaths, either in the balance or with the knees resting on the mat. Good. And we're going to come once more into Child's Pose, bringing the knees wide, big toes together, bringing your hips to your heels. And this time we're going to relax the arms so you can cross your arms and create a little pillow for your forehead, and take a few deep breaths. Good. And come back up. And swing the feet in front of you. If you'd like, you can sit up on a folded blanket. We're going to come into staff pose. I'm going to do one more quick adjustment on my computer. So in staff pose, we don't want the lower back rounded, so sit up on a folded blanket if that's happening. Press into both sitting bones. And then place your hands alongside your hips and press into the palms of your hands, but don't allow your shoulders to come up, especially if you're up on a blanket. The tendency might be for your shoulders to come up. Try to keep your shoulders away from your ears. And then we're going to engage the lower belly, engage the thighs, engage the calves, flex the feet. So this looks like a restful pose, but it's actually very active. Take a couple slow breaths. Good. And then relax. And then we're going to take the right foot and either bring it in close to your sitting bones, or if you'd like, you can cross your right heel over, but make sure you can keep both sitting bones on the ground. From here, we're going to come into a twist. You can either hold on to the right leg with the left arm, reach back behind you and twist, or if it's accessible to you, you can hook your elbow on the other side of your right knee and twist to the right. Either way, make sure that you're not allowing that upper back to round, but really lengthening the spine. So there's an upward motion and twist. And if it's hard to keep that upward motion, then go ahead and hold on to your leg instead of hooking the elbow. Good. And then we'll move into the other side. Again, you can either keep that left heel by your left sitting bone, or you can cross it over, but only if you can keep both sitting bones on the ground. And again, remember, you can just hug your leg if you like, or you can hook your elbow. Either way. And go ahead and place your left hand behind you and twist. So the crown of the head grows long with each inhale, long and tall, pulling straight up. And on the exhale, rest into your twist. If you can soften your face. Good. And untwist. Very good. You're going to bend the legs, and we're going to come into a brief boat pose. So you've got lots of options. You can hold on to your knees, come onto your toes. You can place your hands behind you. You can hold on to the back of your knees and straighten the arms. You can lift the feet off of the floor, or you can let go of the knees. If you're really flexible in the hamstrings, which I'm not, you can straighten both legs, but you want to make sure that as you do that, your back isn't rounding. It's really important to keep a nice flat back in whatever variation you want to work in today. And any variation is fine. You can lift one foot off the ground and then the other. Whatever you do, just remember to breathe. You can move through different variations. Good. And then with the feet flat, hands either behind your knees or straight out, we'll lower one vertebrae at a time, slowly, all the way down on to the mat. Good. We're going to do reclined pigeon pose before we move into our resting pose. So we're going to take the right heel, cross it over the left leg, and you can stay here if this is a nice stretch for your right hip, or if you'd like, you can intersect your, fingers behind your left leg, or if you're really bendy, you can put your hands around your shin. But find a variation that feels good to you. You don't want to push too hard, and I want to keep the feet flexed. Take a few breaths. Good. Lower the left leg to the ground, and then cross the left leg over the right, and either stay here or bring the right knee towards your chest and intersect your fingers behind your leg or in front of your shin. Interlace, that was the word I was looking for, not intersect. I knew that sounded kind of off. Interlace your fingers behind your leg. And flex your feet. And release the right foot back to the ground, and we'll move into our resting pose for today. So feet can be wide and knees can fall together. Or if you want to roll up a blanket and put it underneath your knees and extend your legs, or you can just extend them straight if your lower back is feeling good. Walk your shoulder blades toward one another, and then palms can be up toward the ceiling. I'll invite you to allow your eyes to close. You can allow your breathing to become a little bit more natural. You can keep breathing in and out your nose, or breathe in any way that is comfortable for you. We're going to attempt to bring the body to stillness, the breath to a restful place, and see if that makes a little bit of space for your mind to rest. I give you a few minutes of quiet here. During this time, you can go back to the square breathing if you want something to focus your mind on, or you can just allow yourself to rest. If you've got your eyes closed, I invite you to keep them closed for a moment longer. I invite you to bring some gentle movement to your fingers and toes. And if your eyes are closed, just see how slowly you can open them, letting in just a little bit of light at a time. And bring both knees into your chest. You can make gentle circles with your knees if you want. Then roll over onto one side and use your hands to help you slowly come to a comfortable seated position. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this week's yoga practice. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll look forward to practicing with you again soon.